Let's begin with the recollection I had about the Rav Shita about Shema was actually a combination of two recollections. So I actually tracked down the source. Let me show you. Actually, before I share screen, I mentioned that there are two books that Rav Schechter had written on the Rav stuff, maybe more by now. This is the sequel, Mipnine Harav. So it was in this book, not in Nefesh Harav. And let me share the screen because I took a picture of the actual thing. So he says, where is okay? Ayin Masha Kasavti. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I must have missed that. He says, Ayin Masha Kasavti v'sefer Nefesh Harav Amakuf Yud Ches. So maybe he did write in. Hold on.
Sorry, what is this?
This was my my recollection. I mentioned something about saying the Shema and about the translating the word Shema yesterday, according to the Rav. And I thought it was in Nefesh Harav, but then I really found it was in Mipnine Harav. But then I started reading it now, and he does refer to Nefesh Harav. So let me read what this says. Looks like the thing in Nefesh Harav is not what I thought, but it did have the Rashba in it, but tshuva, and that's why I thought that this was, I got this mixed up with the tshuva of the Rashba. So let me read what this says first, and then I'll clarify what the Rav said and what the Rashba said. He says like this, V'hosif od Rabbeinu b'zeh, so the Rav also added in this, De'in yotzim b'shar lashonos, ela im kein tirgim es ha'pasuk kafi ha'havana ha'nachona sh'nis kavla l'halacha. So he says that if you're going to say the Shema in another language, then you're not yotze, unless you translate the pasuk in accordance with a proper understanding that is halachically valid. For example, in the first pasuk of the Shema, Shemin ha'olam l'targim be'anglit, hero Israel, right? That in the world is accustomed to say in English, hero Israel. The ein ze nachon lefimad zekaim elan lahalacha shafilu lo hishmei la'oznov nami yatza. So that's not according to halacha, the way we paskin, that even if you don't hear what you say, then you're yotze. De'ena pirush b'shema hashmei la'oznecha. We don't hold that the pirush of Shema is make audible to your ear. Ela b'chol lashon she'ata shmei klomer havein. But rather, in every language that you hear, meaning you should translate Shema as havein, as understand. What was I saying? Yeah, so that's what the Rav actually holds. I got that mixed up with tshuva of the Rashba, where he defines the word Shema as hear, understand, and accept. And I thought that, and the Rashba says that when you say the Shema, then the word Shema encompasses these three meanings. So I got it mixed up yesterday and attributed that to the Rav. So I just wanted to clarify that so you don't have a false impression of what the Rav holds. That was not related to the Rambam, but just want to clarify. Okay. So let's go back to the Rambam. And what I decided to do is I'm going to display the Mechon Mamre on the screen, but I'm actually going to use my my good Rambam because it does have some nice notes on the side. So if I forget to scroll on the screen, then just let me know and we'll scroll. Okay, so I think we were up to 25. So 25 is, and just to go over our goals again. Goal number 1 is to get busha from seeing how little we know about the mitzvos. Number 2 is to understand the perush Hashem, just to know what the mitzvah in name refers to. And if we don't know that already, then we'll look at the Sefer HaMitzvos or at the footnotes here. And third goal is to just ask any questions about the Rambam's formulation. I thought we had 4 goals. I don't remember what the other one was. So I guess maybe... All right, we'll find out, I guess. Okay, so number 20.
What
do you say again? Mikra?
Yeah, I think the fourth one was like figuring out how the Rambam organized the mikvah.
Right. Yeah. So this will also help me because I can see whether the I doubt it'd be different, but maybe the footnotes in my edition here will point that out also about the psukim that the Rambam quotes. Oh yeah, the groupings, right? Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's what we ended off saying that the first half, which we didn't know exactly where it ended, was mitzvos of having to do with the Yesodei Torah, then mitzvos having to that remind you of those, and then we went into Mikdash stuff, and then we didn't know how the Birkas Mazon fits in. Okay, so 25. La'aruch I'm going to read from my book here. Where are we? 25. Laruch neros b'mikdash, to arrange candles in the mikdash. Shnemar yaruch oso aron uvanav. Now, this is one where I also didn't really know exactly what that meant. I had not looked at those halachos in a while. So the footnote here helpfully quotes from Tamidim Musafim Gimel Yud through Yud Zayin. It doesn't quote the whole thing, but it says, I guess this is a summary. What does it mean? It says, Lasalik es apsilos shekavu, to remove the wicks that were extinguished. Lanakos es hashemen shenosar bener, to clean out the oil that remains in the ner. Lasim psilos chadashos, to place in new wicks. Lahashlim es hashemen, to complete the shemen hachaser that was diminished or lacking. Ulahadlik es haneros, and to light the neros. So that's all included in the words la'aroch. And the quote is Shnemar Yaruch Oso Aaron Avanav, that Aaron and his son should arrange it. 26. Levarech HaKohanim Es Yisrael, that the Kohanim should bless Israel. Shnemar Kosavarach Es Bnei Yisrael. That's interesting. I just want to check something in the halachos. I think in the actual halachos he adds in the words B'chol Yom. One second. In the Koseres. He says here, Levarach Kohanim Es Yisrael B'chol Yom. Yeah. So like that's a perfect example of the things I don't understand about the differences between the Minyan and Mitzvos and Koseres. If it's a radically different formulation, then you can say that he's just bringing out different elements, of the mitzvah, like what we said before, like Lihis Palel, which he says here, and then La'avod es Hashem betfila. Those are two separate emphases, But to just include B'chol Yom in the Koseres and not include it here, I just don't know what to make of that. So that's part of the mystery here.
I think it's the same by tefillah. It's the same thing.
Oh yeah, he says B'chol Yom by tefillah also. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
that is interesting. Okay, yeah, I don't know. Okay, are you following? Are you just remembering that, or are you looking along as we?
No, I mean I did kind of remember, and I looked it up, and it says it.
Yeah, all right, good observation. Okay, so the next is lahasdir lechem. What is it? Wait, I just lost my place. Lahasdir lechem ulavona lifnei Hashem b'chol Shabbos. Shnemar v'nasata al hashulchan lechem panim. So this is what we call lechem panim. So to arrange bread and frankincense before Hashem on every Shabbos, as it says, you shall place on the shulchan the showbread. Yeah.
It's interesting that here he says like b'chol Shabbos.
Yeah.
It's like weird.
Right.
Like now he's putting in the time.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
Well,
Yeah, so you can't even.
Maybe like Rambam Bekius that had it integral in the mitzvah, and like having in the mitzvah it's integral that it's done before every Shabbos.
Right. I mean, you could say that, but it's. I guess my question is, how are you defining integral, given the fact that like being mispalel b'chol yom is integral? I mean, you could say that that's just the allotment of the thing, but hard to differentiate between the integralness of the timing for that and the integralness of the timing for tefillah b'chol yom. Or didn't he also say by Shema? Likros kriya Shema. Yeah, pamayim b'chol yom. Right. Right. Plus, there are a lot of things that are integral. Yeah, hard to say. Okay. Next, I'm not going to look at the book. I'll just look at the book if we need to consult a footnote. 28. Yeah, lahaktir ketoras pamayim bayom. Again with bayom, to burn the incense twice a day. Shnemar v'hiktir alav Aaron ketoras samim. Aaron shall burn a ketoras samim. Yeah. Side point, pet peeve here. So when I was teaching in high school, then we had these shorashim quizzes where we had to what do you call it? It was basically like vocab quizzes, but on shorashim. And so I was in charge of like editing the shorashim quizzes and making sure that they were accurate. And so in the shorashim packet, then they translated the word or the shorash of katar as to burn incense. And I think a lot of us think of it that way because we call the ketores the incense. But strictly speaking, in the Chumash, then lahaktir is used also for like burning the korbanos themselves, like hektar, chalavim, padarim or whatever. So I think the more accurate translation is to cause to go up in smoke. And so that's what you're doing when you burn the offerings. And then here, when you use it for Ketores, then it happens to be that the Ketores is fragrant, and that's where it comes from, because it's a fragrant smoke. But just wanted to point that out translation wise. 29, la'aroch eish b'mizbach ha'ola tamid, to arrange a fire on the mizbach ha'ola, that's the copper mizbeach, continually. Shneimar eish tu tamid tukad al mizbeach, you shall kindle an eternal fire on the mizbeach. 30, laharim hadeshin me'al mizbeach b'chol yom, to remove the ashes from the mizbeach every day. Shneimar v'hirim es hadeshin, as it says, you should remove the ashes. 31. Oh, so this might be a change here. We'll see. Actually, I'm not sure. To send out those who are tameh from the camp of the Shechina, which is the Mikdash. You shall send out of the camp every person who has tsaras and every person who is a zav. Yeah, hold on. What's this order here? See, it's weird because he started going into. Yeah, the order is very weird here, right? If you look back at a bird's eye. So you've got 20, 21, 22, which are about the Mikdash itself. 23, 24 are about Kohanim, serving the Mikdash and sanctifying their hands. 25 is a particular avoda. 26 is an avoda specifically for the Kohanim. 27, 28 are daily routine parts of the Mikdash. 29, 30 have to do with the Mizbeach. Sending people out of the Machaneh Shechina, that seems to be a different, that seems like Tuma and Tahara. I mean, it has to do with the Mikdash because you can't have them in the Mikdash, but it's not about Kohanim's avoda. And then you go back to Kohanim here. In 32, lachalok kavod lazar shal Aaron ulhakdimo l'chol davar shebikdusha shnemar v'kidash to, to apportion honor to the offspring of Aaron and to give them precedence in every matter of kedusha, as it says, you shall sanctify him. Yeah,
I think that sending people out of the camp is in unit of kedusha. Like, I mean, I think the impetus is the practical cause is the tuma. But I think that's a function of kedusha, not a function of
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good observation. That makes sense. Yeah, so it still is bothersome to me that it's unclear where, it's not just all neatly laid out. Here are all the things that have to do with Kohanim, but it does address the Tuma issue. Chaim, what were you gonna say?
Kind of like the Mizbeach and like the regular avoda stuff should have been after this. But like the beginning is saying make a Mikdash.
Right.
But nodding is out within the Mikdash. And then you would imagine that they would have put next, here on the Mitzvos about the ancient Mitzvos. But in the middle of that, you're like some of those stuff.
Right.
I found that odd.
Yeah, that is odd. That's another breakup. That's true.
Well, maybe could you say that the I mean, I don't know what this would mean exactly, but the reason that the Mikdash is Kodesh is because there are these korbanos going on, specifically.
So that was actually another thing that I was gonna point out. I don't know if this question has a basis, but you notice he hasn't mentioned korbanos yet.
Right. So I guess or whatever, some kind of whatever these specific things are. There's some sort of
that's possible. My mind also would have gone to the actual, I don't know. If you ask me, I really don't know much about Mikdash, but if you ask me, what should he put first of the things done in Mikdash, I probably would have said, the Tamid, Tamid b'chol yom or something. But you could say something like that. Whether saying that would have any merit, we'd have to know more about those particular elements of Mikdash and see what role they have. For example, Lechem HaPanim does not register in my mind as one of the more important things in Mikdash. You know, fire in the Mizbeach, yeah, definitely. Ketoras, 100%, right? Lechem Apanim, like, yeah, it's important, but like, is it really on that level, you know? Narrows, yeah, okay, I got that. But again, I have no idea like whether this is just my ignoramus's intuition or not, or lack of intuition. All right. Where are we now? 33. Yeah. Leos hakohanim lovshim avoda bigdei kahuna. That the kohanim should don for avoda the priestly garments. Shnemar vasisa bigdei kodesh. You shall make the priestly garments. Another one to another.
32.
Oh, did I skip 32?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I read it, but lachlo kavod lazar shel Aaron l'hagdima b'chol davar shebekdusha, to apportion honor to the offspring of Aaron and to give them precedence in every matter. Kedusha shnemar v'kidash to, as it says, you should sanctify him. Regarding 33, then this is another similar thing to the tzitzis thing, that the mitzvah seemingly is for them to wear it, but the pasuk says in terms of says you should make it. 34, laseis ha'aron al ha'kasef kishenosim oso. To bear the Aron on the shoulders when they carry it. Shnemer, as it says, b'kasef yisau, they shall bear it on the shoulders.
Question.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess obviously, like, I don't know the particulars of this, but it sounds like that's not a halacha l'doros.
That's what I thought also. I mean, certainly in the midbar it was done a lot, but I guess when you move the Aron, then you have to carry it on your shoulders. And I guess there's not going to be a like routine part of Mikdash that's machayev you to do that. So which does make it a little bit weird, but yeah, I guess you are right.
But you're saying it still is present that if you carry it, you have to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. You know what? Let me just quickly. That might be worth looking into the Sefer Mitzvos for. I forgot to open it up. Let me just open it up on the old Internet Archives thing. Oh, this is another resource that I don't know if people know about. This was an older collection of internet text, .ac.il. Any of you use this? So it's got the good thing about it. I mean, it has a ton of stuff. The good thing about it is it has a lot of Rambam stuff, and it's a lot of Rambam stuff translated by Kafach. So like this is where I go to for the more Nevuchim. But as you saw from yesterday, this appears to be an older edition of the Sefer Mitzvos because it's not the same as my print version. So still is handy though. All right, let's see. Also, well, some parts are handier than others. The fact that there's no table of contents that I can just click on the mitzvah is a little annoying. All right, what was that? 34, right? Yeah. So he says, "Shnitz tavinu shiyisu kohanim es ha'aron al kitfehem kashenirtze laha'aviru mimakam lamakam." So that we're commanded that the kohanim should bear the aron on their shoulders when it is desirable to be moved from place to place. V'hu amru yis'ala ki avodas hakodesh alehem b'kasef yisau. So even though that commandment was said then to the Levim, so that's another support for what you're saying, Zev, is that contextually that was said to the was it B'nai Gershon? I think the B'nai Gershon who were in charge of carrying the kalim. Lo hayazeh ela machmas mute mispar kohanim be'ososman. Wow, that's interesting. That was only due to the small number of kohanim at that time in the midbar. I never even thought about that actually, about how like, you know, there's this presupposition in the actual halakhic system of there being abundant kohanim, but you just had Aaron and his sons, you know, back then, and I guess Levim had to stand in. Ki Aaron hu hamaskil. Aaron was the one who started it. Avaladoros ha-mitzvah chova al kohanim hema nosim oso. Commotion is ba'er b'sefer Yeshua b'sefer Shmuel. Kasher tziva David lahavir as Aaron b'pam hashiniya b'davar amar b'divrei hayamim v'yisu b'nei haLevim as ha'aron ha'elokim kasher tziva Moshe kidvar Shem b'katfam b'motos alehem. Yeah, that was the incident, right? When David HaMelech was moving the Aaron and it fell. Yeah, so that is another time that it was done. And I guess that's actually true, right? Is that even before Mikdash, you did move it from what the various mishkans that were established. וכן כאשר הזכיר בדברי הימים חלוקת הכהנים ל-24 משמרות, ואמר אחר כך, אלה פקודתם לעבודתם לבוא לבית השם כמשפטם בית אהרון אביהם כאשר ציווה השם אלוקי ישראל. פירשו חכמים שהוא רומז על זה שעבודת הכהנים היא נשיאת הארון על הכסף, וזהו ציווה השם אלוקי ישראל. לשון ספרי כמשפטם בגומר כאשר ציווהו השם אלוקי ישראל. היכן ציווהו? לבני כעס לא נשאן בגומר, בכסף יישאו. Yeah, so you see he does have to work to justify that this refers to not just that period and not the Levim. I guess the question is, once the Kohanim filled their became numerous enough to do this, I guess it's an interesting question of like, can a Levi do this now? Because you're going to see later on that there's an Isser in I think it's in a full-fledged Los Aseh that, or maybe it's an Aseh, I don't remember, that Kohanim can't do Levim's jobs and vice versa. So this is a weird one that was assigned to the Kohanim, but fell to the Levim during a certain historical period. So I wonder if that would fall under that Isser. Okay. Back to the list.
Question?
Yeah.
It's weird because, I mean, he mentioned by Yoshua that he was, that the Kohanim carried the thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what's it called? Isn't that only, like, that was like the same generation as the Midbar. So like if in the Midbar there weren't enough Kohanim, like what happened?
Yeah, it's good.
At Yeshua. It's weird.
And he doesn't quote where in Sefer Yeshua it is. Let me just look at my my print edition and see if they say where in Sefer Yeshua it says that.
It might be by like when they cross the Yarden or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that would that would be an occasion to carry the on. That's true. All right, 97. So it is in Gimel Vav. Let's look at Gimel Vav. I'm not holding in Sefer Yehoshua. Okay, let's see here. I gotta move that out of the way. Nevi'im, Yoshua. Where's Yoshua? Oh, it's at the beginning. Obviously, it's at the beginning. Gimel. Okay, Vayashkim Yoshua b'boker. Vayisu mehashitim vayavo ad hayarden. Hu v'chol b'nei Yisrael v'yalinu sham terem yavoru. V'hi miktzei shaloshes yamim vayavru hashotrim b'kerev ha'machne vayitzavu es ha'am lemor. Kiroschem es Aaron bris Hashem Elokechem v'hakohanim halavim nosim oso ve'atem tisu mimakomachem v'halachtem acharav ach rachok yihye beinechem uveinav ka'alpaim ama b'mida al tikruvu elav leman asher tedu es haderech asher telchu ba kilo avartim baderech mitmol shel sham. Yeah, interesting. Let me look at the Rambam and see if he comments on the halachos of this. Okay, so here's what he's... No, he doesn't comment. Abravanel? Oh, we're not going to wait through this whole Abravanel now. Yep, never mind. All right, I got bored. Good question, though. If you find an answer, let me know. Yeah, see, I mentioned this at the very beginning, right? Is that because we're calling this a Bekius year, then like I get to invoke that as an excuse at any time for like not doing something, and I get to like ignore it conveniently when we want to go into depth. All right, let's see. We're at Lamed Hey. Limshoach kohanim gedolim umalachim b'shem hamishcha, to anoint Kohanim Gedolim and kings with the anointing oil. Shnemar Shemen Mishchas Kodesh Yezeh. This shall be a holy anointing oil. 36. Leos HaKohanim Ov. Yeah. Oh.
Sorry. Again, when you're carrying the on your shoulders in the middle of all the like Kohanim stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That is weird. Yeah, I also was not aware. I mean, let's see let's read until we get to the end of the Kohanim thing, and then go back and try to like see what the deal is with the Kohanim divisions. 36 Lios HaKohanim Ovdin B'Mikdash Mishmaros. For that the Kohanim should serve in the Mikdash in what do we call those, watches? I think the Kohanic groups, I don't know, watches. But on the Moadim they serve as one. Shnemar V'chiyavo Levi Levad Mim Karav Al Ha'avos. Okay, yeah, I was not aware of this. I wasn't even aware that this is a mitzvah that they serve in watches. I thought that was just like a conventional thing. And I also, you know what, let me just look and see if there's a footnote on this. And then if not, then I just want to look at the Sefer Mitzvos. Okay, so my footnote in my good Rambam here says, Ovdim ke'achad, kol ha'kohanim ovdim yachad b'lo kesher l'mishmaros ha'gvuim. Yeah, see, I mean, I knew that happened on Pesach. I didn't know that happened on all the Moadim. Let me look at the Sefer Mitzvos again. I keep on forgetting. All right, I got to go to the Sefer Mitzvos here. No, that's not the one. Hainu b'chol shavua tavon mishmeres v'lo tiyeh yad hakol b'ureves ela b'regalim belvad she'az kol mishmeres ovdos b'shaveh kol mishba makriv. Right, so they have weekly rotations. Not everyone all mingled at once, except on the Moadim, when they all the mishmaros serve equally, and anyone who comes can be makriv. Yeah, I guess I just didn't know that this is a doraisa. Okay. 37. Lios kohanim mitami'in lekrovehem misablin alehen kishar Yisrael shehem mitzuvin lihis abel al misasan mesehen. Shnemar la yitama, that the kohanim should become tameh or make themselves tameh for their relatives and mourn over them, like the rest of Israel are commanded to mourn over their dead. As it says, he shall become tameh for her.
It's interesting that he says this before the actual halacha of aveilus.
Yes. So this is a perfect example of how here he places this in the Kohanim cluster. And then in the Mishneh Torah, in the Chalukos Asfarim, he places it in Hilchos Aveilus. So yeah, different divisions, part of the mystery of why the Rambam divides it like this. Speaking of which, because as optimistic as I am about this Rambam Bekius here, I have a feeling we're not going to get to Hilchos Aveilus this year because it's at the very end of the Mishneh Torah. And I wanted to point out, is anyone familiar with the Koseris for this particular mitzvah? It's not for this particular mitzvah, it's for aveilus in general. Okay, I'm going to show this to you because it's one of the wackiest koseros that exists. Okay, this is in Sefer Shoftim. Hilchos Avel, which is the second section from the end. Okay, put your seatbelts on here. So this is his koseros for not this mitzvah, but for aveilus in general. Okay, mitzvah aleph. Lihis abel al hakrovim, to mourn over relatives. Va'afilu kohen mitame umis abel al hakrovim. Even a kohen becomes tameh and mourns over the krovim. Ve'ein adam is abel al haruge beistin. No one mourns over those who are executed by beistin. Ulefi zeh, and because of this, kilalti halachos elu b'sefer zeh. Because of this, I've included these halachos in this book. Shehein me'ein chavurah b'yom misa, which is thematically similar to burial on the day of death, shehi mitzvos aseh, which is a mitzvos aseh, which incidentally he does not mention that burial on the day of death is a mitzvos aseh in this list. I mean, first of all, like, is that one mitzvah? Like, lis abel al hakrovim he starts off with, and he ends off with kavura b'yom misa. Is that the same mitzvah or not? He throws in what seems like halachos, afilu kohen mitame umis abel al hakrovim, and then throws in just a seemingly random halacha. People don't mourn over Haruri Beistin, and then he justifies why he included this in the halacha section.
It does not seem like title. It seems like It almost seems like he forgot what he was doing with the...
Yeah, you know what it sounds like is like, there's the Rambam and his editor, which is him, but for the purposes of the mashal, and it's like his editor called him out on like including this here, so he like wrote an editing note about like why he did this, and then it kind of like just got sent to the copyist and then like incorporated into this, but yeah, so very weird. And the other weird thing about this, by the way, is I think that this is the mitzvah that we just read in. Maybe I was right. This is the mitzvah that we just read in this list. So regarding your, let me make sure of that. Hold on. So what's the easiest way to make sure of that? Let me look in my print edition in the Chalukas Asfarim and see which mitzvah is listed for that one. Shoftim, Avel. Yeah. So regarding the question of why did he put this mitzvah here before he mentioned the mitzvah of aveilus? This is the mitzvah of aveilus d'oraisa, meaning you're not going to find another mitzvah of aveilus d'oraisa on this list. And that's even weirder. I mean, it's weirder in the sense that why is that one mitzvah? But it now makes sense that like he has to put it somewhere, and like I mean, it's still is weird that like the Kohanim have such a central role in this. Very strange. I want to check out one more thing also. Yeah, see, this is the other weird thing. Look at this. In the opening of Hilchos Aveilus, okay, Mitzvos Aseh lihis abel al hakrovim. Good. Shneimar ve'achalti chatas hayom hayitav be'enei Hashem. That's not quoting the pasuk of La Yitama, which he quoted in Hilchos Avel, or sorry, in his list in the Minyan Mitzvos, right? I mean, and the other weird thing is, let's say we go with that. Let's say we go with Hilchos Avel Aleph Aleph. So it turns out that if that's the source of the mitzvah to mourn on the Krovim, it is interesting that the Torah Shebichsav source is our own mourning over his sons, or not mourning mourning over his sons. Yeah. In the discussion of whether he should or shouldn't. Very strange.
When was the mitzvah saying in the Hosaris?
What was the mitzvah to say?
Yeah, when is that when you're referring here? When is that in the Hosaris?
So to mourn. Yeah. Were you just asking me to show it on screen again, or asking?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Because the rest of them are.
It's not the chavurah, right?
It's not what?
If you mean the aveilus or the burial.
See, that's the question, right? Because he ends off with the burial, but he starts off with the aveilus.
I remember because it bothered me. I didn't think I only went through the Shorachim and the 25 mitzvahs.
Yeah.
When he says, because missing the one thing up on that he says, how it should account me. We think it's all around in one of the Hana Mitzvah. לכן מאיר רוחו בכל יום מניחם אבינו מניחם חומם מפורס מיסן.
Oh, that's
how
weird.
you have Purus Mitzvah and not Doraisa?
Yeah.
I would add, and over here it's not like it's saying.
Right. That is interesting. I did not catch that. See, just a side commentary here. I earlier in the year, then I told you that when I asked Rabbi Zucker for advice on how to fulfill the Rambam's injunction to make the Mishneh Torah yours, and he said, read through the Koseres, the Minyan and Mitzvos, the Sefer Mitzvos, and the opening halacha of the Mishneh Torah, and then try to unify them. This is like a prime example of how, like, that's a limud on its own. Like, if you do that for all the 613 mitzvos, like, you're going to go far, But yeah, I mean, all the questions we're raising here are valid. And yeah, I forgot about the chavurah. Regarding the chavurah, let me just see one thing here. In Hilchos aveilus, just want to see how he introduces chavurah. See, here he says in Yud Daled, Mitzvos Aseh shel divreihem levaker cholim ulenachem avelim ulhotzia hames ulahachnis hakala ulalavos haorchim v'lasug b'chol tzorchei hakavura. So he says, so that is, all of those are part of the Durabanans. Oh, sorry. And Lases al Kasiv, Lelik Lefanav, Lispod, Ulachpor, Vlikpor, V'chein L'sameach Hasan, V'hakala, L'sadam, Chol Tzorchehem, Elohim Gimilus Chasadim, Shebegufa, She'en Lahem Shir. Yeah, so that sounds like it's Durabanan.
Right.
And what did he mean by Me'enak Vorshi Mitzvos Aseh?
He meant mitzvah say one isn't how it goes in the
Right.
Pathetic.
Could be.
Is it possible
Or
it's yes.
Or
No.
the other possibility he meant the mitzvah say aveilus that we learned from the Torah.
Yeah.
Which is why he was mentioning the whole long issue of the Torah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like it's just weird that if that were the case, yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe the mitzvah to say is only to bury the Hiruge basin. Is that possible?
First of all, that would be weird. Especially because we bury them we bury them separately from the rest of Klal Yisrael, like
Right, 'cause
as
it's
yeah, I don't know what to make of this. This is a Bekius here. But yeah, I'm mystified here. Well, one thing we walk away with this from, at least, is there is definitely a very, very intimate relationship between the mitzvah of aveilus and kohanim. You know, so much so that in the Sefer Mitzvos, he classifies it with the kohanim. But beyond that, I don't know. It's funny because even in the kohanim,
He said what they have, yeah.
he puts
That's
Tumah
weird.
first. I mean, you could argue that that's just because you're going to need to face the issue, the situation of being matame yourself before you're misabel. But I don't know. It's also interesting. Like a kohen
It's
can be
weird that
misabel
the Kohen, I think it's weird that it's saying that mitzvah I say for the Kohen is in the burial for Haros. Oh, well, I guess maybe not saying that. You're saying you're only a mitzvah to be mitzvah? What's included in this mitzvah?
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I was
yeah.
going to ask. Like, let's say you're a kohen, and let's say you, for whatever reason, are not matame yourself for your karov, but you are misabel for him, right? It's not like aveilus is totally on being matame yourself. I don't
Right.
think. But he makes it sound like it's one, you know?
Well, how can you be mitzvah if not doing the burial?
I mean, even if the normal case is going to be where you are matame them and misabel alein, it still is weird that it's part of the mitzvah or formulated as part of the mitzvah. You know, like you have all these halachas about like, you hear that someone dies, and they're in a different city and like they're buried, and then when do you start your aveilus, etc. So like it is conceivable. Although we also have to remember that according to the Rambam, aveilus biyom rishon is doraisa and shiva is derabanan. So maybe for that, then like you're only going to have a doraisa morning when you're mitame and misabel.
Is that okay? It sounds to me like you are five the right to bury someone. Otherwise, why does the Kohen need to be mitzvah?
Right, that's true. I mean, it's not like he just goes to the mace and touches them, goes whoop, and then runs away.
Exactly.
Like yeah, strange.
Okay. I guess
Yeah.
I think
This is a sugya. Yeah, this is a tzarechiyun. Tzarechiyun gadol.
This is a Bekius here.
Right, it's a Bekius. Well, also just another thing here. This is, I mean, it's more egregious in the Mishneh Torah that we just read, but the way he phrases it, if we just read back in the Minyan and Mitzvos again, Lios hakohanim mitamin likrovehem umis ablin alen kashar Yisrael shehem mitzuvin lisabel al meisehen, makes it sound like Israel's commandment to mourn is a separate commandment that he's referencing. Like he's presupposing that that, obviously Shar Yisrael are mitzuvin lisabel al meisehen, but we learn that from this mitzvah, So it's like kind of like it's a what do you call it, Inaugural instantiation for my Koheles people. That's not really what it is, but yeah, woo. Okay. All right, next. 38. Leo's Kohen Gadol no say besula. Shneimar hu isha b'vsula yikach, right? Talk about socially unacceptable chukim, right? That the Kohen Gadol has to marry a basula, as we find out. Well, it's a very young basula. Shneimar hu isha b'vsula yikach. He shall take a basula in he should take a woman in her basuliality. There's no whatever. Lahakriv tamidin b'choya. Okay, so now pause. Now we get to korbanos. Okay, so now that we've gotten to that, let's take my advice from last night in the Koheles here, which is to color code these. So let me just copy and paste. Whoa, copy. And then we're gonna stop sharing and go to Word. And we're gonna mess around with colors to try to get categories here. Oh, sorry, I should share the screen. Oopsies, did not mean to do that. Let me do it like this and like this. Okay. So we're not going to reread through all of them, but let's just say what we can see in terms of patterns here. I'm just doing this because I'm neurotic. And so we can see all of them on, hopefully I can get them all on one page. Yeah. Nice and orderly. Okay. All right. I can't get them all on one page though. Oh yeah, look, boom, there we go. All right, so, and I'll move you guys to the side. All right, so what did we say the categories seem to be? And these are not firm commitments. We'll just we'll categorize them as we go. These were based on Mikdash ones, right? First three.
Yeah.
And you said, did we say that maybe? No. Like these are already ovdim, right? Yeah. These seem to be.
I would put the also in that category.
Put the which one?
I think the second category would go until maybe 31.
31.
Up to 30.
Yeah. That's so you want to say that that's in the category of the ovdim?
Not 31. Until 31.
Oh, until 31. Well, see, that's what I'm not sure about because, I mean, Zev was suggesting that these are part of like Mikdash identity stuff. Is that what you were saying? Or something, Zev?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so like those kind of seem to have to do with Mikdash, the Mikdash itself. And then,
well, I mean that would include 31.
31.
Yeah. 31.
I would say Ramon and kind of things. I think
That way, that you were saying that which one's had its own thing.
I was saying the way I was reading it was that from 33 to from 23 to 30 was like a regular avoda mikdash.
Let me just see what that looks like here.
Yeah, that's how I was reading it out.
Yeah.
It's weird that he doesn't have Tamid though.
Well, and he says Harbanos later, which we didn't read today.
Yeah, and you can see, I think that is a good like justification that like for whatever reason korbanos are their own category, you know.
Right.
All right, then we've got the Kohanim one. See, yeah, but see, the categories are still not clean, right? Because Birkas Kohanim is all the way up there.
Right.
Let me try something else. If we did things that Kohanim have to do. I just wonder what the pattern would look like. So let's say in green. Well, I mean, I know that technically that's like a lot of these things, but ones that like, no, I guess that's too broad. That's everything. What I meant to say was like Kohanim identity things, as opposed to Kohanim function things. Like for example, wearing Bigdei Kehuna. Yeah, Birkas Kohanim seems to be like an identity thing. But see, I don't even know.
But they're not connected. Yeah, I don't know.
No.
It's very strange.
Yeah. This didn't help at all.
I think what really bothering me at 31 is like throwing me off.
Yes, yeah.
Because otherwise, I think my weight seems fine. I mean, I have to when like a whole name is not part of like whole Hanem stuff. But it had to me like anything between or anything from 23 to 30, like mainly Avoda that's not Harmonos, and then 31 for some reason,
Yeah.
and then Hanem stuff.
Yeah. See, look, I mean, okay, I don't know if this is going to help. This is, okay, so this, I wonder if this is even a category. I'll say it anyway, even if you laugh at me. There's like mikdash maintenance stuff that like you keep the fires burning and the table set. Like those are that has to me has like a different character. Like I know technically they are avoda, but like that has a different character to it, to my mind, than being makriv korbanos.
You made me influence 31 in that category also.
31. Ah, right. Yeah. Meaning that you need to keep a certain not stature. That's not the word I'm looking for.
Like
maintenance
distinction?
is still a good word. You need to have a certain maintenance of the mikdash, which includes certain, like, again, I'm using the analogy of like a house, but of like keeping the fires of the hearth stoked, keeping the riffraff out of the, off of the stoops, things like that.
Right, and that, I mean, that would also include the lishmor by his
Right.
and
Did
all that. I mean, I don't know exactly. There are a few things in between.
Yeah.
But...
So in other words, we're saying that maybe all of that is in that. All of these are in that category. Let me just see if. Oops.
Maybe that's a different category of like your shots in mikdash.
Well, that's 31 would also be kedushas.
Oh, yeah, 31 is everything.
Well, why don't you say this whole thing is about kedushas mikdash?
Yeah, well, that's what we're trying to find, right? That's possible. The hardest one for that's going to be 26, right? Because I can argue that designating certain people to serve in mikdash, that's definitely part of kedushas mikdash. Doing an act of being mekadesh your yadayim v'raglayim, that's also like mikdash. That I'm thinking is like, this is a bad analogy here, but when you go into a hospital, when a doctor goes into the hospital, washing his hands before he goes in is like part of the din hospital, like that's the way that I'm getting the picture because of washing the Kohanim's hands. And I'm not saying this is the only way to frame these things. Like obviously you can frame them in different ways in different contexts. But 26 still doesn't seem to fit these. When you said that maybe all of them could be kedushas mikdash, did you mean like all of them, or like just?
No, not like all of them.
Okay.
Just maybe up.
Because it definitely does seem like this.
But...
It definitely does seem like from here and on are like Kohanic centric mitzvos.
Right. So why is 20? Yeah, why is 26 over there?
Yeah. So really, that's the main question, I think.
It's very strange.
Yeah. Let's just look at the just for kicks. Let's look at the Sefer Mitzvos on Birkas Kohanim and just see if we get any clues there. Let's see. That was number 26. Okay. Hatzivishnis. Oh, that very short. This is not encouraging. Hatzivishnis Kavino Hakohanim Levarach Es Yisrael B'Choyim V'Hu Amri Sal Kos Varachos B'nei Yisrael Emor Lahem Ukvarnis Bar Reinu Dinim Mitzozo B'Perika Akrom and Megillah Mitayis. Yeah. So what's funny about it also is even in the context of the Torah Shvichsav, it's not talking about like Kedushas and Mikdash, right? Let's just look at the context in Torah Shvichsav, because this is in Shlach. Where are we? Bamidbar Vav. This is, well, I guess there is some Mikdash stuff here, but so it's a Nazir, or is it entirely Nazir? No, yeah, it's entirely Nazir, and then it goes to Birkas Kohanim, and then after Birkas Kohanim, it goes to the Miluim. Yeah. So Miluim is connected, but it's, yeah. So the Torah Shvichsav doesn't help us either, I guess is what I'm saying, unless we understand the connection between this and the Miluim.
It's also interesting to note that the Rambam has Kohanim and Sefer Abba.
Yeah, that's true, right. Meaning it's not in with the rest of the Mikdash stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything else in that with we're talking about right now. Not it's all almost in the same thing.
That's a good point. And it also remains like the only mitzvah that they do, right? It's the only mitzvah that Kohanim do deoraisa outside of Mikdash, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, which is entirely disconnected to Mikdash.
Also, like honoring.
Well, Asher Kiddushanu B'Kedushaso Shel Aaron. I don't know if that implies that it's like part of the Kedushas Kohanim for Avoda or not. It's yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know what the definition of Avoda is.
Oh, that's very good. It depends what we're talking about. It's from the three times I want some of this stuff.
Right. But all of this is just strengthening the question, right? This is getting us like.
Well, was it part of like the Seder Yom? Like when the Rambam was in the Seder Yom?
I don't know. You know what? Let me cheat and look up Birkas Kohanim in the index and just see if it shows up in elsewhere in outside of Sefer Avoda. Give me a second. Birkas Kohanim. Actually, let me look under Kohanim. Kohen. Birkas Kohanim is Re'eh Brachos. Okay, so let me look at Brachos. Brachos. Okay, so Birkas Kohanim. He only mentions it in Ava and then also Tamidim Umusafim Vav He. Let's check that out. Which I would not have guessed it's there. Not that I know my way around Sefer Avoda, but I feel like Tamidim Musafim talks about Tamidin and Musafin, not Birkas Kohanim. What did I say? Vav He? I closed the book already.
Yeah, you said Vav He.
Okay. Vav He. Mishiyagu. Oh, so is this part of a... this is the Seder Avoda. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Kishiyagu bein ha'ulam lemizbeach, natal echad es hamagrefa, v'zarka bein ha'ulam lemizbeach, v'ayallah kol gadol, u'shlosh dvarim haisam mishameshes, koin shu shemei es hakola, yodeh she'echav ha'kolanim nichnasim l'shachvos, huratuva, v'alevi, shu shemei es kolav, yodeh she'echav ha'levim nichnasim l'daber b'shir, huratuva, v'rosh ha'mama, k'shay shemei es hakol, ha'namami nes ha'tameim al shar ha'mizrach, מפני החשד, שידעו הכל שעדיין הוא לא הביאו כפרסן. ואחר כך מעלה זה שזכה באיברים, אז האיברים מן הכבש ולמזבח, ואחר שמלין אז האיברים, אחר שמלין אז האיברים, משכילין אלו של מעלות האולם, ומברכים ברכס כהנים, ברכה אחת בשם המפורש, כמו שביארנו במקומה. Yeah, so that's all he says. So, I mean, I guess it is part of the Seder Avoda, if that
Right.
answers your question.
Right, so I feel like maybe it might help say that not with the current way we have it broken up, if you know that how to list.
Yeah, here's
It's loading. I think maybe if we like wrote it up again as like Seder Avoda, that's not Korbanos stuff, like we tried before. Because the Rambam has it as part of the Seder Avoda.
so you're saying basically to go like
I think it was back to like the
22
23
or sorry, 20, yeah.
until
like that,
yeah.
right? So does that work? Yeah. Right. So this is like Seder Avoda without korbanos, like the non-korbanos elements of Seder Avoda.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Up until 30.
I mean, look, it's better than nothing because this is the closest we've gotten to like being inclusive when it comes to chavav, you know?
Right.
All right. Well, this is something.
Oh, and I guess we got a problem with 31 again.
Oh, right.
Oh, man.
Unless
No,
there's something.
that could be included in the next list about like being machalik between like the mikdash and the rest of the world.
I don't know. I feel like the next list is really just about the
Kohanim. When you made me say that since Kohanim,
look, it's even a different color. It clearly doesn't work. What was that, Chaim?
Maybe I think it does fit better in that second category than the one but it doesn't really fit anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, unless there is. We didn't look at this. Let's look at that in Sefer Mitzvos really quickly. 31. Ki shnitz vinu lahoti es hatamim min hamikdash v'hu amar yisrael v'yishalchu min hamachane kol shur v'kol zav v'kol tamei lenafesh u'machane ze amor kan hu machane shchina sheladoros kamohu b'hazara kamosh bi'arna b'reish seder taros b'firish mishnah l'shen sifri v'yishalchu min hamachane azhar l'tamim shelo yichnesu l'mikdash b'tuma v'kvar nichbol tzivui zeb b'lashon acher v'hu amar yisrael ki yeh b'cha ish zar lo yihye tahor b'mikrei laila v'yat el michutz l'machane rata kan be'omer michutz l'machane machane shchina k'mosh amar b'mizvozov atma el michutz l'machane tishalachum v'gomar p'sachim v'yat el michutz l'machane ze machane shchina. Yeah. Lashon mechilta tzaves b'nei Yisrael v'yishalchu min ha'machane ba'aseh u'minayim belos aseh tamu lamar lo yitamu es ha'machanehem u'v'sifra v'yat el michutz l'machane mitzvos aseh. Not super helpful.
I don't know. Other than that one mitzvah, I think this is the most satisfying.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we'll keep this as it is now, and hope that one day we'll be zocha to get a better sense of the order here. I'm going to save this, and maybe when we go through the rest of Mikdash stuff, we'll see categories clear. All right, this is a good stopping point though, because we know that the Tamidim and Korbanos happen afterwards, so we're definitely at a stopping point. All righty, to be continued.
Thanks. Have a great day.
All right,
Thanks.
Bye.